Former President Rodrigo Duterte, in his wisdom, has called on at least 2 occasions for his daughter Sara to get out of politics, knowing fully well how his daughter can go totally ballistic and out of line, getting her into a hole she'll fall in and eventually can't climb out of. Nightly greetings, one and all. William Theo here, and this is PTV News Now. At the top of the heap of our breaking stories this evening, the Justice Department has stepped in on the ongoing drama the Vice President initiated over the weekend with her latest rant alluding to the assassination of the First Lady, the House Speaker, and the President should something tragic befall her. With her latest vitriolic remarks filled with curse words against the President, First Lady, and House Speaker on a midnight rant over the weekend, the Justice Department is stepping in to protect the duly constituted authority and has ordered Vice President Sara Duterte, whom they tagged as a mastermind, to respond within 5 days to this latest subpoena against her. Vice President Sara Duterte has stepped up her verbal attacks on the President and House congressional leaders after her Chief of Staff was put under House detention for obstructing Congress's probe on the potential misuse of confidential and intelligence funds by the DepEd and the Office of the Vice President over the last 2 years. Her Chief of Staff, Undersecretary Julica Lopez, who has been a trusted lieutenant of the Vice President since her days as mayor of Davao City, has been ordered detained by the House for repeatedly trying to mislead the House probe panel and allegedly making false statements to protect the Vice President. What has turned off many in government and in the public sphere against the Vice President is her arrogance to claim the President and his allies have never seen and met someone as fierce and feisty as her for a political foe. But the President, after holding back and keeping tight-lipped for several days, has spoken and is fighting back. And so are the democratic and law enforcement institutions of the Republic, trying to protect the duly constituted authority against attacks from within. Perhaps the former president's message to his daughter 2 weeks ago to quit politics and cut her and her family's losses is a tacit admission on how VP Sara's hubris and chutzpah, which he knows fully well more than anyone else, is putting her on the road to perdition and tragic ending of Shakespearean proportions. In other news, President-elect Donald Trump vows to revive tariffs in his trade relations with nations, especially China. Then again, there's growing uncertainty and uneasiness his America's first trade policy is causing, even as among allies, as VOA's Bill Gallio reports.
During his first term, Donald Trump imposed sweeping tariffs on China, shaking the global economy. Ahead of his return, Trump is vowing even more drastic measures. 10% tariffs on all imports to the U.S. and a staggering 60% on goods from China. While China hasn't commented directly on Trump's threats, it has warned against further trade tensions.
We don't answer hypothetical questions, but let me just reiterate that there's no winner in a trade war, nor will the world benefit from it.
Any Trump tariffs could especially hurt economies that depend on exports. But an expanded U.S.-China trade war could also create opportunities. Many countries have benefited as production shifts away from China to avoid tariffs. Thailand's Commerce Minister recently told VOA's Thai service his country has seen an influx of U.S. companies relocating factories from China.
We should be able to weather this. I actually see these problems as benefits for Thailand. I believe that we can be an investment destination for every country.
That approach comes with risks, though. Many countries that gained from trade moving out of China now heavily rely on exporting to the United States, leaving them even more vulnerable to any blanket Trump tariffs or efforts to crack down on rerouted goods. The concerns stretch beyond the biggest U.S. trading partners. In Africa, where trade with the U.S. is already limited, higher tariffs could make access even harder, one analyst told VOA's Africa 54.
If we talk about manufacturing, if we're talking about production of produce, pineapples, and coming to the U.S. market, it's going to be difficult. So I'm not optimistic about U.S. trade with Africa if we're talking about increasing tariffs.
Much of the uncertainty stems from Trump's unpredictability. During his first term, he often used the prospect of tariffs as a bargaining tool before eventually striking individual trade deals, says analyst Jayant Menon.
Trump is not a protectionist, I think, right? He's a deal maker. That's what he, likes to present himself as, the art of the deal and all that. So he likes free trade agreements that he has a role in.
Menon says countries targeted by Trump could push for new trade agreements instead of tit-for-tat tariff escalations that could harm themselves and the global economy. Not all of Trump's proposals point toward increased protectionism. He's also suggested rolling back subsidies for U.S.-made electric vehicles, subsidies put in place by the Biden administration.
He's already called them, silly in a podcast with Joe Rogan. So he's probably going to roll them back. And that's a positive, right, in terms of the distortions that affect the global economy.
Both risks and opportunities as the world figures out how to respond to the return of an unpredictable U.S. president. Bill Gallo, VOA News, Seoul, South Korea.
At this juncture, let's shift focus to my colleague in PTV's Baguio City studios for what's hot and happening in the Cordilleras. Audrey?
Nimbag Arabing Pilipinas, impanakaw ti Social Security System Luzon North 1 Division, analabawan dati punteriada abilang ti baro a miyembro da itaatawan. Sipod Enero aging Oktubre iti agdamatawan, nasurok 103,000 ti baro a miyembro, kumpara ti 58,000 a target ti division. Dagiti branch ti naso a division katiada iti Agoo, Baguio, Benguet, Bontoc, Candon, La Trinidad, San Fernando City, La Union, Lawag, Canvigan. Sigun kini SSS Baguio Assistant Branch Head Rosalie Marie Rachel Castañeto, nakatulong dagiti nagduduma a programa ti SSS iti panagado ti membro da kas iti kasangga collect program, SSS e-wheels, race kan online membership. Kang runan matakarit iti SSS North Luzon dagiti employer asaan anang irehistro kadagiti trabahador da, nupay kasta, agtultuloy mati programa ti SSS a run after contribution evaders.
Ating mga members na online na pumapasok sa atin, they may be students, marami na tayo yan. Doon actually kami talagang kumuha ng malaking porsyento para ma-over namin or malagpasan namin yung target namin for coverage membership. Yun ay nanggagaling sa ating mga mag-aaral who are 18 and above.
Iti sa Balipay adamag, iti agtultuloy a kampanya ti Police Regional Office Cordillera kontra iti illegal a droga, na discovery pa dagiti plantation sites ti marijuana iti Benguet kan Kalinga. Iti Benguet na discovery ti 6 a marijuana plantation sites ang nakakumpiskaran ti nasrok 19,000 a pidaso ti fully grown marijuana leaves, kan 80,000 a gramo ti dried marijuana plants, nga agatad iti nasrok 13 million pesos. Kabayatan na itimot Kalinga may sa marijuana plantation sites anamulaan ti 5,000 a pidaso ti fully grown marijuana plants nga agatad iti 1 million pesos tinadiscovery ti pulisya. Nadadaal ka na uram dagito iti mismo a site. Dagita dagiti damdamag malipod iti PTV Cordillera, siya ni Audrey Villena na Imbag Arabi.
Many thanks, Audrey, and that's all for tonight's show. Join us anew tomorrow for another twin bill of breaking news stories here and elsewhere on the planet. William Theo here reminding you all to keep it here for news you can count on, and thank you for watching PTV News Now.